Hey, good morning. Welcome to Microsoft Teams Architecture Talk. My name is Mark Longton. I'm a Group Program Manager for the chat service that supports Microsoft Teams. I've worked on Teams for the last 3 years, and covering positions. I've been responsible for Teams and channels, the security, privacy, compliance of the product, and a lot of the middle tier underlying infrastructure that supports the service. So today, I'm going to be talking about some of the core characteristics of the architecture, and then we're going to have Steve come up and talk more about the specific building blocks that make up what is Microsoft Teams. So let's jump into it. So first, take a look at the logical architecture. When you think of the team itself is backed by Office 365 groups, so the membership of that team. You could add members, remove members directly in groups, and that will reflect in Teams. That team has a whole bunch of apps. It's part of our app store. You've probably seen other sessions. And the team is also backed by an instance of SharePoint. And that SharePoint membership also is backed by that same Office 365 group. So the permissions, as you add files to that SharePoint, are reflective on the participants of that team. That team can have many channels. So the concept of a channel is effectively, you can think of it as these are topics that team might want to discuss within the team. And each channel has a folder in SharePoint where its files are stored. The channel also can have many tabs. Again, another part of our extensibility story, and there's a whole set of tabs, both Microsoft and third-party tabs available. And then within the channel, you have messages and reply chains, and then those messages can have media associated with them, like things like images, etc. When you look at chat, on the other hand, the key difference is chat actually uses OneDrive for Business for storing files. It also has tabs and apps, but it's a smaller set available relative to what you see in Teams. And then it also doesn't leverage reply chains today. So it's really a straight line set of chats. And that includes one-to-one chats as well as group chats. Currently, I think the limit of participants in a chat is about 20, and we're looking to move that up to 250 here fairly soon. Then in the last year, there's been pretty heavy investment in meetings, calling, and then calling a voicemail associated with that calling, as well as adding contact support. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but that's been a big effort this last year. One box I left out was the activity feed. I apologize about that. But what that is in a team, when you are someone's mentioning you or likes a message or applies to a by chain, that we will then take a copy of that message and put it into a personal stream that's personal to you, and that is reflected so you know that's something that you need to pay attention to and get a hold of. So that really kind of covers the high-level logical architecture, how things fit together. So one question that comes up a lot is where my chat messages are actually physically stored. So there is a chat service, that's the team that I'm currently running, and it is this persistent chat, so it has its own storage. Today it's using Azure Storage, blob storage, table storage, queues. We're actually in the process of moving towards Cosmos DB, where we expect to get further improve on reliability, and there's some performance characteristics that we're going to get that's going to be enhanced from what we have today. That data is then journaled into Exchange. So if I have a chat with you, that chat is journaled into my mailbox in a hidden folder, and then each participant of that conversation, that message is also stored in their mailbox as well. It's fanned out. And then if I have a team conversation, that message is actually journaled into a group mailbox. So that's the key difference, that's understand. And I'll talk a little bit about why we do that in a minute. Mostly it's around compliance today. And then any media associated with those images are stored in a media store. We actually, when we first built the product, we stored images directly in SharePoint and OneDrive Business, and it started getting kind of ridiculous because you had your important files that you really wanted to find, and then people put so many images that it kind of got blurred. And anyway, we ended up, it didn't make a lot of sense. And so we're using this media store for that. So files, I mentioned we use OneDrive for Business and also SharePoint. So if I'm having a chat with someone and I drop a file into that chat, it actually gets stored in my personal OneDrive for Business. And then automatically, all the participants of that chat, the permissions of that file are applied so any participant in the chat can see it. So it's all done fairly seamless for me. And it's the same concept in SharePoint. If you're in a team and you add a file, that file is put into the SharePoint folder, and then the permissions for all members of that team are allowed to access that. And so personally, I really like this because I think of the older way, I used to always send attachments to a file. Then inevitably, I have to go edit the file, and then I end up having to send another copy, where often I'm dropping a file in. I might go edit the file, but I'm editing it directly in either OneDrive for Business or SharePoint. And of course, I don't have to resend out the file, so everyone has the latest copy. And then we do support third-party cloud storage, Dropbox, Box, Google, and Citrix specifically as well. Those are default off, and as an admin, you would have to go enable those for your organization. We actually had them default on originally, and we got a lot of people angry at us, and we switched that. So this is a little bit more comprehensive view of the data entities. So we talked about messages and images and files. We also have voicemail. The voicemail is physically stored in your Exchange mailbox. We have meeting recordings, which is a new capability that's come out. That actually, what happens is it's physically stored initially in that same media store that I mentioned we use for images, and then we encode the recording, and we actually store it in Microsoft Stream for consumption, and then that recording is ultimately purged within less than 24 hours from the media store. And then calendar is using Exchange, as you imagine, and contacts is using Exchange as well. We do capture telemetry, and we have very strict rules that telemetry cannot contain what we call end-user identifiable information or customer content. So if there's like an email address, or we scrub it out, or any sort of content, even the channel name or things like that have to be scrubbed out of telemetry. Like a channel name could say acquisition of X, and so even those things can be quite important. So we work really hard to scrub that, and we have third-party auditors and ensure that we are doing what we say we do as well. So I mentioned each team is backed by an Office 365 group. One of the things that's really attractive, particularly for administrators of, I would say, particularly large organizations, is you can actually do full administration of those teams directly in Azure Active Directory. You can add members, remove members, and take advantage of all the fairly robust administrative capabilities that Azure Active Directory brings to bear. That sync then happens from AD to Teams, and it does typically takes about 15 minutes, what we see. The SLA is actually 24 hours, but it's just important for you to know that is available. And we see particularly, I would say, in larger enterprises, there's a lot of interest in leveraging that. Of course, in the UI of Teams, you can simply add members and remove members yourself manually, but from an administrator standpoint, it's quite powerful to be able to go directly to Azure Active Directory. So I mentioned how we journal data down into Exchange, and also we take advantage of SharePoint and OneDrive for Business. One of the key benefits today that we get is a lot of the information protection capabilities. So e-discovery, legal hold, compliance content search, archive retention, and audit logs. All of that is largely enabled because of this process that we're doing for journaling. We're doing a session tomorrow. We're going to actually, it's pretty demo heavy, where we're going to be demoing a lot of those capabilities. So if you're interested, it's at 11:30 tomorrow. That's the key thing. There are some other things kind of coming by journaling into Exchange that we're going to be able to take advantage of centrally. We're looking at things like search and some of the AI things that are coming down the pipe. We'll take advantage of core Office 365 infrastructure, and by doing this, we'll be able to light up a lot of that in Teams as well. So I created this slide. It's a bit of a thing to stare at, but the idea of this is we make a lot of promises around security and privacy and compliance, and within Microsoft Teams as well as the rest of Office 365. And so when we do, we're talking about everything what we refer to as this compliance boundary. So all the data that we store, is encrypted at rest, encrypted in transit, all things like that. But as a collaboration tool, we have data coming in and out of the organization, also of this boundary. So the intent of this is to inform you what those various ways of data coming in and out of that compliance boundary. And then you, as administrators or owners of Office 365 in your organization, to help inform you to make the right decisions for your company. Most companies keep most of the stuff wide open, but we have a lot of organizations that need to lock things down for various reasons, whether it's regulatory or even just internal policy. So let's walk through these. So connectors, that's basically data coming into your organization for the most part. You might have, there's hundreds of connectors, maybe something like Jira or other systems where you have, say, a work item and you're putting it into a channel. Most companies, again, it's data coming into my company. It's a little bit less of a concern. Emailing a channel, again, that could be coming from anywhere in the world that you're sending email in to your organization. And the next one, couple aren't super obvious, but the Giphies, which is a lot of fun. That Giphy query is actually being sent to the Giphy organization. So for the most part, someone's putting something like, celebrate or fantastic, and no one cares about the fact that it's leaving the compliance boundary, but it's just important for you to be aware that that is going outside of Microsoft. Push notifications to your mobile devices do pass through Google and Apple's network in order to push notifications to your phone. We talked about third-party cloud storage. Obviously, that's outside of Microsoft's purview. And then URL previews. So if you put a URL into a message, what we do is we take that URL, we go out to the website where that URL is from, and we take a snippet of that and put it into the message. So again, we're leaving the compliance boundary, taking that snippet and putting it back. Again, some of these things, I think to most people are like, who cares, it's not a big deal, but there are some organizations that need to tighten down for various security, privacy reasons, and so I just want to call all of these out. Tabs, apps, and bots. Certainly we have first-party ones, but there's also third-party that can be hosted anywhere. A bot could be hosted, frankly, anywhere in the world. And so again, deciding whether that's important to you or not, and we do provide the ability for you to enable or disable those. Graph API is a way to access data. I think you've probably talked about this in many other sessions, but this is controlled by Azure Active Directory. So again, you can enable or disable scopes for which apps have access to those APIs. But again, these are all things as an administrator that you need to be aware of. And then calling, of course, calling can leave the boundary to anywhere. On the left-hand side, you've got the browser. Obviously, users can be anywhere in the world. Clients, we have guest user access. We also have added anonymous join this last year to meetings, which is a great feature, but it's, I have a meeting and I have my customer who wants to join the meeting or a partner who wants to join the meeting. So a great feature, but is again, where you have people outside of your organization participating in, which could have intellectual property. So it's just, again, for you to be aware of. And then federation, the feature I really like, this is the ability to communicate from one tenant to another tenant. Again, you can enable this. Completely wide open. You can also have a selected set of tenants that you want to partner with, or you can completely lock it down as well. So anyway, it's just important, I feel like, to inform you and make sure that you are aware we are a collaboration tool. So in one ways, we want to say we're absolutely secure and private and have this, but we also need to be open to be able to allow communication to happen around the world with your customers, your partners, et cetera. So again, just want to create awareness. So data residency, when we launched Teams, actually I had the pleasure of telling everyone we need to deploy in multiple regions all around the world and we have no customers. And it was an interesting conversation in the very beginning. But on day one, when we launched, we did have in-region data residency based on tenant affinity. So what that means is if, say you're a customer in Italy and you sign an Office 365 subscription, all that customer's data would then reside only in that case, in the EU, in Dublin and Amsterdam data centers with failover. And same within Asia Pacific and America. And that's what we launched with. What we've been expanding on what we call data in country. And specifically, we have 5 countries today with 2 data centers in each country, Canada, the UK, India, Japan, and Australia. And those, if you're provisioned there, your data would stay in country. Now I'm specifically referring to really the chats, because Exchange and SharePoint, OneDrive Business have been doing this for a long time, and we're frankly catching up to them. We have, I think there's France and Korea. Once we have those, we're effectively caught up to Exchange and SharePoint. Our intent is to catch up and then to stay current with them as with Office 365. We've also added Government Community Cloud this last year. I think it went out in July, and that's what you see, the US Gov, Arizona, and Texas data center as well. So we continue to expand our global footprint. And if you compare this to last year, yeah, this has been an area that we've invested pretty heavily in. Oh, one last thing I should call out at the bottom I wanted to call out, we just added right to left support for Hebrew and Arabic as well within the application. So that was, again, a new addition. So this is a bit of an eye chart, and I apologize, but I think it's important to communicate this. A lot of the capabilities we talk about, we say, hey, we do legal hold, we do e-discovery and all these great things. There are some caveats if you are running Exchange on premises specifically. And the 2 that I'd call out that are probably most critical are the legal hold and retention. Today only work if you are running Exchange online. So it's just important to be aware of. There's a few other things there that may be important to you. I think those are the 2 that pop the most to me. This is available in the deck too, so I imagine this might be something you can look at in more detail back home. Let's leave it there for a second. So as you are looking at, for those who are either looking at Office 365 and certainly looking at Teams, there is a network planner that's actually important to pay attention to for looking at bandwidth when you're particularly doing video and calling, things like that, and it kind of helps you walk through what the bandwidth impact is of your organization. So I just wanted to kind of call out to this that is something it might be worth checking out if as you're looking at deploying Teams across your organization. And this was the Fast Track team put this together. So now I'm going to be handing over to Steve to go over the building blocks of Microsoft Teams.
Thanks, Mark. So given that we're here talking about collaboration and messaging, and obviously this is a large meeting, I'd actually like to, given that it's 4 days into the conference, you were all gracious enough to show up at 9 o'clock in the morning. Just like to do a little collaboration exercise with you. So I'm going to have you just look to the person next to you, maybe shake their hand, fist bump, like little... And then, yeah? That's good, yeah? Can I get some likes? Some likes? Yeah, that's okay. So halfway through, and yeah, we already have like 500 likes. This is so my name is Steve Saxon. I'm actually fairly new to the Teams organization. I guess I've had a career of doing some big things. Back in the early 2000s, I was the lead architect on Dell.com. I helped Dell.com get onto ASP.NET. We actually went live on ASP.NET 1.0 Beta 2 on the day it came out. So I'm kind of fearless, I guess. Since then, I've done a few interesting things. I was the chief architect running with 150 engineers working on creating one of the state exchanges, the state healthcare exchanges for the Affordable Care Act. So that was kind of exciting. The rules coming from the Health and Human Services kept changing like every day. So I ended up building like a hierarchical rules engine just to be able to keep track of it so I wasn't driving myself insane. I've also worked on the Alexa products some of you may have heard of. I was in a meeting a few weeks actually before the Alexa launched, and because I had my e-commerce experience from working at Dell, they wanted my opinion about how to create a skill store and how to set that up. Except that at the time they were calling them voice apps, which I just thought was a horrible name. And so, I tried to get them to understand that the things you guys are talking about, they don't sound like apps to me. They're not mobile apps. And so, I tried to convey to them that what you're really doing is teaching Alexa a skill. And that was actually kind of the origin of where the name skills came from, which has now become like the industry term for voice applications. I was also involved, I actually created something that Amazon announced last week, which was something called the Alexa presentation framework, or presentation language, which is a way for skills to get like richer visuals. So I led that from the beginning of last year when I first created it to being the lead and getting it to, I guess, something that they could launch. So as I say, I'm fairly new to the Teams organization, but I guess the reason I'm telling you all of this is, to me, it's like super exciting to kind of get up every day and get to work with a lot of brilliant people that are really trying to do something, I think really exciting. Like, getting to a point where we can introduce new kind of ways of helping companies collaborate, helping companies innovate. Like, a lot of the journey that I've been on would have been a lot easier with tools like this. So, I appreciate you all being here and being excited as I am about this stuff. So. Okay, so Mark's kind of touched on kind of some of the building blocks. We kind of fit them into the Teams architecture itself. Kind of fits into these kind of big areas, right? So we have the Teams client, right, which is the client that you're using on your desktop or maybe on your mobile phone. Behind that, Mark's talked about some of the Microsoft like 365 core services, so systems like SharePoint, OneDrive, and so on. And Exchange, obviously, for a lot of the kind of e-discovery. We also have, obviously, the Azure services backing everything, right? So we get, the great performance characteristics of systems like Cosmos DB to really make our services run fast. We have the what we're calling our intelligent communications cloud. So this is really, where we have messaging and the ability to run bots and so on. Getting into like more intelligent bots, working with systems like Cortana, right, to really try and drive intelligence into the communications infrastructure. And then finally, we have the team services themselves, right? So the team services here are really taking all these other pieces and kind of pulling it all together, right, into kind of what you see then manifested through that client. So let's kind of drill into some of these boxes. So the first one I'm going to look at is the client, right? This is the one that you'll be most familiar with, if you're using Teams already today. So there's a couple of interesting things about this. One of the key things that I'd like you to kind of take away from this is, that we're actually using a lot of common code across all of our platforms, right? So if you are just using like teams.microsoft.com, you're just using the website, the experience that you're seeing there is going to look really similar to the experience that you see when you run the desktop client. And a lot of the reason for that is it's basically the same code, right? A lot of what you're seeing is the same application. Another thing that's actually kind of interesting about this is that you'll see that we're using the same code between Windows and Mac. Well, why is that? Why is that special? We're actually today able to sim ship, right? So we're able to launch new versions or updates to Teams on Windows and Mac on the same day. And for those of you that have companies, organizations that are using Macs today, you'll know that that's not normally something that Microsoft does, right? Like there's an Office team for Windows, Office team for Mac. So it's we're pretty proud of the fact that we take these platforms really seriously, and we make sure that we're keeping them both very up to date. On the layering side, right, you'll see we have this ongoing transaction transition from Angular over to React. So the very first version of Teams, we were super scrappy, like moving as fast as we could. We built it with Angular. That was the best tool that we could use at the time. As we moved into the mobile space, we realized that React Native was probably our best bet there. We needed that native performance. And so what we're finding is, kind of in this spirit of trying to reuse as much as possible, we're now in this transition of trying to get, the desktop side of the house, if you like, onto React so that we can leverage more of those investments across these different platforms, right? So we develop a cool feature. We want to make it available to you on all of these platforms as quickly as possible. There's actually one thing I should. No, it's fine. So we'll keep going. So we talked about this, the clients across the top. There is one piece of the client that I think is I find interesting when we're talking about calling in specifically, and that's this idea of we have this a library we call TS calling. So the TS in this case is TypeScript. If there are developers in the room doing JavaScript and you're not already using TypeScript, it's pretty cool. So between our desktop and mobile, we're actually, although you saw that the kind of desktop and mobile, I drew them as separate on the previous slide, they do actually share, in this case, this common component we call SlimCore. Well, what is SlimCore? So SlimCore is like a highly optimized library for doing calling with video, and kind of it's able to we're able to do things like optimize the way that we encode, pick the correct encodings. We're also getting into now doing even things like live tuning the stream so that we get the best possible, like most reliable, highest quality calling connection. Obviously, when it comes to the web, we're not able to do that, right? We want to, in the web, make sure that we're not running with plugins, right? Some companies, especially if you're in the government, plugins are just not going to be an option. So, but also we feel like if you're using plugins, you have to keep updating plugins, right? You keep seeing those, flash updates, right? So we just don't want to be in that world, right? So, so on the calling side, we're primarily kind of leaning into the WebRTC or ORTC if you're running Microsoft Edge. And then we have some additional libraries then for the other capabilities that SlimCore is providing. We then have additional libraries, JavaScript libraries that are sitting around WebRTC to really enable, to really kind of give you the same experience that you would get on the desktop. So things like the call signaling agent, right? That's basically reporting out like, hey, I'm here, this is where I am, so that if a call comes in, it's able to connect to you. The trap client, I promise that has nothing to do with trap music. See, most of you don't even know what trap music is. I love you guys. So trap music, the idea with the trap client, if all of you are in the same room, right? We're all on the same network. If I actually call one of you, it's going to be able to negotiate a peer-to-peer connection so that the message isn't going up to the cloud and coming all the way back, right? That's going to give us the best connection. Like we're not even leaving the switch at that point. But if, let's say, we're in different companies, right, or there's a firewall in between us, we have to be able to go through a relay. And so the trap client, what this is really doing is providing a way of exchanging tokens, right? So I send a token from my client, you send a token from your client, and then in the cloud, we're able to connect those two calls, right? So. One thing, so it is worth mentioning, so as we're keeping those clients up to date, right, we want to make sure that the client's always on the latest and greatest, right? This is one of the big differences between the Teams environment and the, say, SFBO environment that some of you may be running today. In SFBO, you have this thick client, and then the client, it's not getting, updated necessarily all that regularly. And so, with Teams, we're able to update it every day if we wanted to, right? Like the updates will go out kind of live. As we're doing that, the real benefit that's going to give you, and that really comes in with calling, is that when we make improvements to how we do signaling or how we do encoding or reliability improvements, any kind of improvements that we make in the system, when your client and the other client, the person you're calling, are negotiating, right, we're going to be able to use the highest fidelity, the latest and greatest features to basically ensure that reliability. If you have somebody calling an older client, right, if I'm calling you and you're running a version of software that hasn't been updated in 2 years, right, we're going to end up negotiating down to whatever capability we provided 2 years ago, right, which is, and so, this is, I think, one of the neatest things. And, even if you're not necessarily sold on this Teams and channels, I don't know if I need that, right, like, there are still significant advantages in moving to Teams. And being able to get that, make sure that you're always running that latest software. Boxes and lines. So okay, so Mark talked about some of these areas, right? So the idea that we have these team services, we have chats and calling. We're obviously using AAD to get you to authenticate into the system, know who you are. We have policies. Policies are going to allow us to say, okay, if you're trying to call somebody outside of your company, does your company allow that, right? Do you have a policy that allows you to make that call? And then telemetry, obviously, where we want to make sure that we're keeping track of what was the experience that you had, right? Like, were you getting buffering? Like, what was happening, right? So that we can be helping to continuously improve. So when you're sending chat messages, what's going to end up happening, right? If you're talking to somebody, those messages will actually go into this publish and subscribe system. And so what that is going to be doing is then publishing out, hey, this message is here, and letting other systems know about it, right? So Mark talked about Exchange, right? So your messages will end up in Exchange so that we have that secure kind of cold storage for things like e-discovery. We have this, Mark talked about Graph, right? So with Microsoft Graph, we have this webhook capability that's coming soon, and what that will let you do is you can then have systems for doing things like DLP, like data loss protection. So you'll be able to do real-time DLP so that if somebody starts talking about something that they shouldn't be talking about, right, you're in financial services, you start talking about, hey, you should really buy this stock, right, you're doing a little insider trading, you'll be able to, that DLP system will be able to catch that in real time and flag it, tell you to cut it out or whatever you need that system to do. Push notifications, right, we talked about that. That's the idea of, being able to send notifications to your cell phone in the case that you receive a message. We have a notification service, and then search. So notification service, what that's going to do is it's actually looking, as these messages are flying by, it's looking and saying, okay, I want to be able to send this to you. Are you actually currently online, right? If you're not online and you've got the cell phone, I'm able to send you a push notification. But if you're using your desktop, right, what I might want to be able to do is say, okay, if you don't reply to this message for a period of time, I'm going to send out an email, right? Just to tell you, hey, by the way, something's here, you might want to come and look at it. So we have search, right? So at the point that I'm sending these messages, the messages are going to get collected, indexed, and put into a search index, right? So that you can then come back and find those messages, right? So then the search is able to be connected up from the client. The client can say, hey, I want to learn about this. I want to search for this thing, and then it will show you all the messages that's showing up in. Mark talked about connectors and bots. So the idea is, a bot is a piece of software that will run kind of in the context of the chat system, you can have a bot that can then say, see the chats, see the messages, be able to then respond, right? So you could ask a bot, what's the Microsoft share price, or what's the weather in Seattle, right? It's raining. And then the bot is then able to reply back to you. Right? And so And then with connectors, right, so Mark talked about connectors, the idea of, a company like Jira has a connector. When work items get created, right, you can have a channel which is bound to that connector. And then as those work items come in, right, you'll see messages show up, right? Effectively the chat system's posting messages into that channel to say this work item was created, this bug was resolved, right? Getting that feedback kind of directly in that channel, right? So the channels really kind of start to become like the hub of your enterprise, right? Where all of these pieces are coming together, wired together through these connectors. So we talked about calling, right? So with calling, one of the things that's interesting here is, you can have things like voicemail, or you can record a meeting. And when you're doing that, right, we're recording, and then we're putting the output of that recording into Microsoft Stream. You'll see, a message will show up inside of the chat associated with that meeting, so that you'll see, the voice recording is now available. So you can then capture that. Okay, and then finally, right, we talked about those Microsoft 365 services. So this is where you'll see OneDrive, OneDrive for Business, SharePoint, and so on. And then, one of the other ones on here, the Office web apps, right? So you can have a Word document, for example, that you've posted into a channel, right? So, hey, here's the latest version of this specification or this thing that you're working on. And when you do that, right, you can the person receiving that or seeing that message can then click on that Word document icon in the channel, and it will open up in an Office, like in this case, a Word Online preview, right? And so you'll see Word Online embedded directly into that Teams experience. You can then choose to open it in the Word desktop application if you want to make some significant changes, let's say, but yeah, it's all like all of this is integrated together. And finally, we have this experimentation feature, right? So the idea of experimentation is we can, because we're moving so fast, right? We don't just necessarily want to throw a bunch of things out there and just, hey, maybe you guys will like it, maybe not, who cares, right? Like, no, we want to actually know, right? So we want to be able to create a feature, maybe light it up for 10% of customers. See what is there adoption? Do you care? Are we getting, good feedback, bad feedback, right? And then be able to make improvements and make sure that we're constantly kind of doing things that that resonate and are relevant and that that you guys love. So I love this slide. So calling is complicated, and so I'm not going to use this slide. So, and so the thing with this is, right, I want you to understand that calling is complicated, but also that like when you're setting up voice calls, right, there's quite a few interactions that are actually occurring. If I call you through your Teams client, right, or call to your Teams client through our system, there's quite a lot of kind of handshaking and a lot of message transfer that's occurring. One of the key takeaways from this slide should be that we do lean into, for example, if you have an existing Skype for Business Online system and you have that PSTN infrastructure set up through your Skype for Business Online, Teams leans into that, right? So Teams will leverage the existing investment that you have in terms of, say, your PSTN integration. And as I mentioned before, right, the idea of those policies, right, to control, hey, PSTN's not cheap, right? It's not free. When I call somebody, I want to be able to control that, right? I do that through policy. So this might be a little easier to consume, right? So what happens when I actually make a call? So what's going to happen here is, right, we're going to make this conversation request, right? I would like to initiate this call. The call notification then goes to the other person, the person I'm trying to call. They'll get something that shows up that says, Steve's trying to call you, and they'll hang up. No. And at that point, right, so they click answer, right, and so now you'll see the request coming back, right? Yes, I'm answering. The next thing that happens is rather simplistically called media, like hides a multitude of sins. So here what we're really doing is I'm running a particular version of Teams, you're running a particular version of Teams. Are we on the same network? Are we not on the same network, right? We're trying to figure out, we're trying to negotiate what's the highest quality way that I can talk to you, right? So obviously, if we're on that peer network, right, we're on the same switch. I can peer-to-peer you. Now I've got like gigabit Ethernet, right? It's crazy fast, awesome. But we still have to then negotiate, say what encoding am I going to use and so on. So all of those things are kind of wrapped up in this kind of media negotiation. So once you now accept the call, right? Once the call is now accepted, right? The call will now be joined, and now we're talking, right? So that's really a one-to-one call, right? I call your computer through Teams. What you'll find with if you join a meeting, it's actually kind of similar, right? So the real difference is that in the case of setting up a meeting, right? So I create a meeting, and then I want you to join my meeting, right? So what you're really going to see is I'm talking to my call is actually really with the call controller, and the call controller is then going to orchestrate, like pulling everybody kind of into the meeting, right? So here we add the first participant to my meeting, the first person joins my meeting, and they negotiate their media, and then other people will join. One of the key things about this, right, is well, what happens if I now say I want to initiate recording of this meeting, right? What we actually do is we put a bot into the meeting, and the bot just does exactly the same thing, right? We add basically the bot as a participant in the meeting. The bot may send out a channel notification, right, like a chat message to say the meeting is now being recorded. But primarily, right, the fundamentally what you're seeing is the same interaction, right? This and then that bot is then seeing basically the same output from the media mixer that everybody else is hearing, right? So whatever you're hearing, the bot is hearing, and the bot is able to capture.
And voicemail really the same way as well.
Exactly. So we talked about your, for companies that already have their existing kind of investments in their, say, PSTN infrastructure, right? So one of the things that was recently announced, and I believe the deep dive for this is tomorrow, is this idea of direct routing, right? So this is, you already have your PBX, right? Maybe you've got analog desk phones, right, connected through an ATA analog telephone adapter, and that's connected in through this through your existing PBX infrastructure, right? You've already got your own trunk, right? Your own kind of connection back to your PSTN provider. Using direct routing, what you're able to do is have those inbound numbers, right? So you've got your phone number, basically, that would normally say ring on your phone. You can now get that through direct routing to ring inside of Teams itself, right? So you don't then necessarily have to be, sat at your desk next to your phone. You're able to take that call, in a meeting room or, sitting in the cafeteria or wherever you happen to be. We also have, there's a couple of partners. If you've been over to the expo, you may have seen their, they have some really cool phones that have this Teams integration as well. So if you are kind of moving into more kind of direct, more into like Teams-driven, the Teams-driven phones where you're logging into Teams on the phone itself, right? There are partners that can provide that equipment. Okay, so we talked about calling. Let's talk about how messaging works. So with messaging, simplistically, right, the user using their device, so you're going to post a message. You're sending this message to another user, and they happen to be logged in. In that case, right, we basically have a connection to them. We're just going to be able to send them the message directly. You may have a client who's not logged in, right? So, or at least not active. Hang on, what am I saying? So if you have another user may not be able to use synchronization, right? So in that case, we'll have a long pole. It kind of depends on what kind of client you're using. We talked about these before, right? The idea that we'll notify all of these subscribers right through this publish and subscribe system. And then, as far as the push notifications, right? If you have a user whose phone is not, I'm not currently running Teams, therefore the long poll, or the direct connect aren't going to work for me. In that case, I can send you a push notification, right? That will show up on your home screen or whatever. And that applies to, say, my Apple or my Google phone. So so one of the things we had talked about earlier, right, was this idea of this notification service, right? So in this case, right, when you post that message, it's going to notify the notification service, right, through the publish and subscribe. In this case, we're going to look at rules and figure out, is this message, or who is this message interesting to, right? So it's not just that we would say, so we may do things like say, hey, you haven't been active for 90 minutes. I'm going to let you know, right? But we may also look at things like, did somebody mention you, right? So you have a channel, somebody mentions your name, or does an app mention of you, right? They're trying to catch your attention, right? And so we need to make sure that we notify you of that. Somebody may like a message that you posted, right? So, you're familiar with Facebook and Instagram, right? You'll see those likes showing up, right? Somebody liked your post. But also things like replies. If you reply reply to somebody in a thread, right? We now take the view that you're interested in that thread. So other people posting that thread will also let you know about those kind of things, right? So we're kind of intelligently trying to figure out what things are interesting to you. And then, you'll see the activity feed, the activity that shows up inside of the Teams client, that activity charm. So when you click on that, right, you're then going to see these messages showing up. So the last thing I mentioned is the presence check, right? So if you haven't been active for a while, we'll use that as a signal to then say, oh, hey, stuff's been happening while you were away. Here's an email, to get you to make you aware of those things so that you can come back and kind of get caught up. Right. So some of you are probably living in a world today where you may have already begun your transition to Teams, right? But you've still got some folks that are using Skype for Business. And so in this world, right, so we're going to, we want to make sure, obviously, that you don't have kind of two completely different unconnected worlds, right, inside of your company. And so we have to make sure that we're able to share messages between the two systems. So what ends up happening, right, the message gets sent into this message gateway, and from there we're going to direct it into the Skype for Business kind of specific endpoint. And from there, right, the message will go to your recipients that are still using Skype for Business. In the case of presence, right, I'm reporting on the Teams side, I'm reporting my presence to Teams. Teams is publishing that presence out, right? So one of your contacts who's still using Skype for Business will be able to tell if you're available, if you're busy, if you're in do not disturb mode, right? And then, that presence is then, the presence from those folks is then also reported back in, right? So presence from Skype for Business user is also getting reported back to our Teams, the Teams-based users, right? So if you are in this kind of transition mode, hopefully at least, the things that, the kind of pulse of business, the things that make sense, are still going to be available to you, while you're in that transition. So meeting recording, we talked about this a little bit, right? So this is the idea that, I basically say that I want to start recording, and what we'll do is we'll add this bot to the call, right? So we set up this recorder process to basically record the call, right? Capturing that media stream, that output. At the point that the call is finished, right, we end up publishing we end up basically going into this export process, right? So we have this media store where we're capturing that output. We then take the information, the stream from that media service, and we send it to Microsoft Stream. And Microsoft Stream is then going to encode that into a stream that we can then share out, right? So once the stream has received or has processed the stream, or processed the recording, we'll then create a chat message to say, here is the recording from this meeting, right? So you'll see, there's a little bit of a delay after the meeting ends, but then you'll see that icon show up, right? And then you'll see us post that message, right? That channel message that will allow you to come and connect back to Stream. Is it over already?
That's it. So we wanted to make sure we had plenty of time for some questions. So there's some microphones in the center. If people do have questions about the architecture, please feel free to come up and ask your questions.
Yeah, and if you're coming up to the mic, if you can just kind of make sure that your toes are up to that white line so that you're close enough. Thank you. Thank you. Question over here?
Yeah, good.
Are the microphones on?
Hello? Government agency. We have Skype for Business, which is not saved or archived because it's for, like, are you going to lunch? What do you want to do today? That sort of thing. And then we have teams and groups.
Can you step closer to the microphone? Sorry.
We have Microsoft groups, and we have conversations. And that goes into our email, and that gets archived and is stored for 4 years. So there's different chats in Teams. Which ones correspond to the Skype for Business, which is not going to be saved in our organization, and which ones kind of react like the conversation in groups, which would go through our email and get stored?
Yeah, so first of all, within Teams, so the question is really about retention of chat conversations, which might be talking about things that are chit-chat sort of thing, and you want to get rid of them as fast as possible due to liability reasons typically, versus team conversations that might last for a year because it's a team project that you're working on. And so what we do is we actually have different retention policies, and you can set one retention policy for chats, and you can have a different retention policy for your teams. Today, the minimum is 30 days that you have to keep along, and we're actually working real hard in this next quarter to bring that down to as early as one day. So you can have your chat retention disappear after 1 day, and your team conversations a year or 2 years, whatever you want. It is users themselves generally want to like persistent chat. It's usually the lawyers who want to reduce that time frame. So that's what we find. So I think there's a bit of a trade-off on how far you go with that. The lawyers in a lot of companies will say, I want to get rid of data as fast as possible. But then it's frustrating in the world we live in today where you might be chatting with someone around the world in a different time zone. And if your retention is too short, then that person may not get your message. And so I think that's the trade-off you just have to pay attention to, depending on your organization, of course. But that's available. And in the security compliance session tomorrow, they'll be demoing some of that at 11:30 if you're interested.
So I still don't understand. Are you saying that I can't use chats because of our policy that chats go way out one day?
No, you can. It just I think the question was around if I'm using chats and Teams and they go away after a day. What it means is any chat I type will be there now, and whatever your retention policy is, it will be purged at that retention policy. So it's up to you in terms of how you configure that, though.
Yeah, thanks, guys. You mentioned data loss prevention in your IM example with insider trading. Is it really going to be near real-time prevent or just alerting? When is that going to be available? And Well, let's start with it.
Yeah, we're demoing it tomorrow, first of all, at 11:30. And we'll be supporting first-party DLP as well as third-party DLP. It is what we refer to as passive DLP, so there's a lag from the time you post a message and then process it. And depending, for example, what our first-party, a third-party could have different SLAs on how quickly they process it. But you'll see a demo tomorrow in terms of the speed and performance. As far as when it will be available, I would say confidently in the first quarter of next year. We're looking to get most of the code done this calendar year, though. But just in terms of when we actually release it.
And how does it recognize the things that it needs to block?
That's a longer question. So first, there's some basic things like regex, and there's some more advanced machine learning type activities that go into it as well. And then depends if you're talking about what Microsoft does with its DLP, and then there's also third-party DLP that have a variety of ways that they are looking at that. And that's an area that's just continuing to advance. Some people are looking at very basic things like credit cards and passport numbers and things like that. And then you get into more advanced surveillance type things, which are more like your insider trading, which is much more complicated, frankly.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. Quick question. Is there any intent for a Linux-based Teams client?
It's been discussed. We've gone back and forth on it. There's no commitment at this time. We get a lot of ask, even at this conference. I think there's been quite a bit of ask for it.
Yeah.
At this time, though, we haven't made any commitment and would be able to do that. But it is something we're evaluating. So definitely, I do encourage you in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a feedback button, and there's a way to vote up in user voice, and that we do pay a lot of attention. So I do encourage you to click on that and take the time to provide that feedback there, because that does influence us in a big way.
Okay, brilliant. And on Chromium support for video and content sharing?
Yep, there's development happening right now towards that effort.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Hi, we're Skype for Business, and we also have a WebEx presence because we have trouble with Skype presenting meetings to a generic internet audience, you know what I'm saying, in terms of they can't get to our Skype for whatever networking reasons, URLs and blocking and whitelisting and all that stuff. Do you see Teams as helping us with that?
Yeah, do you want to? Sorry, that sound good. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So one thing I think when you think of Skype for Business, I'm assuming you're running on premise. It's behind your firewall. With Teams being out in the cloud, absolutely we do. And that's, for example, the anonymous join feature, which we added earlier this year, allows you to have participants from anywhere in the world join meetings. So I definitely encourage you to pilot it and give it a try. But absolutely, it's designed for that for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, great presentation. I saw on one of the slides, at least I think I saw it, that their roadmap includes VoIP integration. Can you speak to that at all?
So natively, first of all, we do support VoIP calling today within Teams. Okay. Are you talking about more VoIP, like you want to connect to your Cisco VoIP and things like that?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so there's things like PEXIP, who's on the floor in the expo. Okay. They help us with that particular integration. So I do encourage you to go have a conversation with the PEXIP folks.
Okay.
And they do specifically that, connecting, for example, Teams to, say, Cisco, and you want to have that collaboration.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
If I could, one follow-up to the last question asked is there's also companies out there like mine, and there's like 25 others as well, that will take your SIP lines and convert them and do direct SIP into Microsoft. So we literally can hand you a SIP line to go into your Cisco PBX and fork it into the Teams environment as well today. So just
yeah, and that's a big part of this, the whole session border controller, right, taking advantage of that. And yeah, it's been pretty exciting. That came out earlier this year, and I think it's showing a lot of interest in the market where people just have their investments, as you're calling out, that they want to take advantage of.
Right. My question, though, was more on the stream storage space that we're talking about, because in stream, you're limited to 500 megs per tenancy and 500 megs per user, and Teams right now is a lot fatter client on network bandwidth consumption than Skype is. Like 13 megs per client on a three-party video call is what the bandwidth guidelines are that you guys have published. There's nothing saying what the bandwidth or what the storage capacity on the stream side is going to be on the recording, because I mean, you just announced it Monday, so
Yeah.
if it's come out, I haven't seen it. Can you give us some guidance as to like what 30 minutes of recording video is going to look like?
I don't have that at the top of my head.
Lots,
If
though,
you,
right?
yeah, if you, I just don't, I don't have that
Okay.
top of my head to be able to answer. So I think my contact
So I win
information.
the Stump the Chump award today.
Well,
I'm kidding,
yeah, I do think
I'm
my
kidding.
contact information's on the slide. If you do reach out, we could probably get an answer to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I guess there's big comment.
Regarding data at rest, how does Teams handle the data, like for the persistent chat in a multi-geo situation? For example, let's say we're multi-geo and we have a North American user chatting with a European user. That brings things like GDPR and stuff like that into play. How does it handle that?
Yeah, so first of all, Exchange, SharePoint certainly support multi-geo support. That was announced, I think, earlier this year as well. Currently, the chats are in a single location. So if you're, depending where your Office 365 subscription is, they're in a single location. So we have not added multi-geo support for the chats themselves. It is on our roadmap, but we do want to get there. It's fairly complicated to do that, as you're alluding to. We do honor the GDPR requirements fully, though. I just want to call that out. But right now, all of your chats worldwide have affinity to a single location with multiple data centers. But yeah, as far as adding multi-geo support is not something we've done yet. We've had quite a bit of interest, though, and asked for that. The best example I've heard, it's less have been about latency, it's more like contracts. So I'm a big consulting company, my data's in the EU, I do a contract with the US, and I'm obligated to have that data reside in the US with the government contract, for example. And so we do see demand for that, and it's something when we want to get to. It's just a matter of time and resources to get that done.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, so my question is about role-based security. If you guys are familiar with Discord or TeamSpeak, I'm wondering if you guys have anything to speak on more granular role-based security, because right now just members or owners isn't really cutting it for us.
Yeah, so there is, the first thing that was just added, and we'll again talk about this in the security compliance session, is there's actually different administrator roles that were added. I think they were added like last week. And so we're going to actually show what those are. I think there's, so right now you'd have a global system administrator and be able to delegate to folks. So there's, I think, about 4 or 5 roles that were added. So that's the first thing we've done. There is discussions on whether we have things like a reader role and some additional roles, but there's nothing I can commit to at this time.
How about with using roles to lock certain specific channels, so like a certain elevated role has that?
Yeah, so we refer to that as private channels, and that is actually under development, and actually you should see that coming out in the not too distant future. I'm unsure if we've shared dates with that, but that's coming pretty far along. That's actually, that might be, I just can't comment on the exact date. I'm not trying to be secret about it. I just don't, I'm not sure what we've communicated, so I don't want to be consistent. I can tell you, though, it's pretty far along in the development cycle.
Okay.
And this idea of private channels, I think actually it's the #1 user voice ask out there. So we're working hard to try to get out as fast as we can.
Thank you.
You may just have answered my question when you're talking about private channels. Because
next,
the issue I'm dealing with is, I set up a team for a particular client we have, but I might have 6 projects running under there. Each one's a different channel, but then I also want to make the team externally available to the client, but I want that in its own channel, and I don't want the client to be able to see all the other things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a more natural way to work. You don't necessarily want to spin up a new team every time you want to have a little, so it's just something, it's been technically challenging to do, and they've been working on it for a while, but we do see that is coming pretty soon, though.
And kind of following up on that, it was interesting to me that the channels manifest themselves from a file storage perspective as folders in SharePoint, which tends to run counter to the way we've been instructed to do things in SharePoint forever. Like you don't use folders in SharePoint, you use metadata. And I was just wondering if you could...
Yeah, so I mean, folders is a way of organizing conversations. Personally, one of the features I would love to see in Teams is use of like things like hashtags and as well. I still wouldn't go away with the idea of having the construct of channels, but in addition to, like we might have a channel about our product strategy, but then within that product strategy, I might want to have hashtags about specific topics that I'm trying to cover. And so that's something I would like to see as well. I do think you will see more investment in this tagging using metadata in the future, but again, I don't know that I would, we've actually had a lot of success with the simplicity of what channels are as well. So I think it's more that I'd like to see that in addition to the channels concept.
There is, I think there's a difference, right, which is when you're working directly with a folder in SharePoint, right, you're able to see what are the existing things that are in there, right? What are my existing files called that are sitting inside of that folder, right? Versus if you're in the Teams environment, right, you may be looking at a files tab on a channel, but you don't necessarily have any clue, right, that, that may even be backed by SharePoint, right? You may not be aware of that. You may not care, right? You're just going to work with those files in that context. And if you create something like, my presentation.ppt, there may already be a file with that name, right, that was put in there from another channel if they were all just sitting in one big folder.
Yeah, and the way I was looking at it was if each one of those channels manifested themselves from a file storage perspective as a separate document library instead of a folder, then I can get much more granular with the permissions around it if I need to. So
yeah, no, thanks for the feedback.
Just feedback, but
yeah.
I appreciate you guys. This was a great session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I had a quick question about the client installation and upgrades. We've noticed some interesting behavior that's completely different from a traditional MSI app or an MSI, the new format through the store, or even the click to run, where our software deployment folks push an executable but then for each time the first user logs on the machine, it's actually downloading and running an MSI to actually do installs, updates, things like that. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about that architecture and how that might play in like a VDI environment, for example, where we may not want the user to have to wait on that MSI to download to run the software.
Yeah, there's a few different questions built in there. A couple things going on. One, we are looking to add to Click to Run and SCCM as well. The one thing that, because we're a communication tool, one of the fundamental differences is it's so critical for us to keep all clients current. So that's one of the areas that we do this auto updates, which is different than traditional, as you're kind of calling out. So it's one thing I want to call out that's different. But it creates huge benefits in call quality and security as well, frankly. That's one aspect. And then the other part of your question, you mentioned VDI. VDI today works with chat. We have more work to do to work with the media. And there is work. We're working with Citrix and VMware and even Microsoft, which was just announced during this conference. And there's more work for us to do. In the VDI, we're actually taking advantage in the web architecture, the web RTC, because of doing them plugins, that's what we'll be using with VDI as well. So you don't have to have, like you said, that install it and you can get using the product right away. So that's effectively what the plan is. The work there is just, there's a lot of work that the media can consume all of your bandwidth, and so you have to kind of control that, and that's what the primary work is, to be able to still make the screen render while having video, and that just makes it a little bit more complicated. So there is work happening on that front, and we see quite a bit of demand, particularly, I would say, financial services and government, where we're seeing the most demand for the VDI. But it is coming, and something we know we need to do.
Yeah, I work for a bank, so that's where the question came from.
Makes sense.
We have a client who actually has a very valid use case for having a team with multiple thousands of members. Are there plans to extend the maximum number of 2,500 members in the team?
Absolutely, there is. It's my boss sitting there. But for sure, so it is 2,500. You're going to see it go to 5,000 pretty soon, and we have plans to go much bigger than that I'd say into next year. There's quite a bit of effort to make sure that we can scale, for sure. But yeah, you're going to see 5,000 fairly soon, and then you'll see quite much larger numbers into next year.
Excellent. Then I'll talk to your boss further.
Yeah, I have a question about direct routing. And so all of the information that we've been doing, testing that we've been doing to date has been over the internet. The internet's kind of been implied in all the documentation about it. But does direct routing and the association between the Microsoft phone system and the on-prem SBC, does that work over ExpressRoute? Could you have a private connection for this to work? I
believe it does. The resident expert who really knows his stuff on the direct routing is doing a talk tomorrow, I think, Nikolai. If that's an area, he'd be able to go much deeper than I certainly would on that.
Okay.
So I definitely encourage you to attend that if you can.
Okay. Great,
sorry
thanks.
to defer, but I just he's much more knowledgeable and actually created the product in the first. So.
Okay. Gotcha. Great. Thanks.
I have a quick question. We have a couple of big partners that we work with, and they also have teams deployed, and we're starting to now have these fights about which organization owns the team. So for example, if we create a team and we add a bunch of their guests, their people get all upset that they can't see what their content is doing. So what are our options for that? Because we're having, at this point, each of us has several teams that the other company's a guest in, and they can't see what's going on. So for example, if I add you guys into a team that I'm doing and you share that information with me, the concern is that your company doesn't see what I'm doing.
From an e-discovery perspective in that?
Like we'd have to federate SharePoint at that point.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. It's come up periodically. I don't have a specific answer for you on it. In terms of having this sort of joint trust, if you will, between a team, it's almost a shared team between the organizations. It's not something we've, I guess, tackled that particular.
Yeah, like I said, we've got a couple of really big partners, and each person thinks that they're the 800-pound gorilla. And
of course, no, I understand the question. I just don't have much of a strong answer for you.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey, good morning. We have a Skype for Business on-prem environment with enterprise voice. We have some third-party vendors that are interfacing into Skype for like a tenant console and call recording. Those vendors are telling me that it will not work in Teams today, that they're waiting on Microsoft to release an API or SDK or something.
Yeah, so there's things for those, like in financial services, like MiFID II, and there's requirements out there for voice recording. Companies like NICE and Verba, I don't know if it's the ones you're talking about. We are working hard to create an API which we could enable third-party voice compliance and voice recording. That's under development, but I don't have a timeline when it's coming out, so there is work on our side to do that. So I think your information is correct. The intent, of course, is to make those things work as, you know, we're in order for folks to migrate from things like Skype for Business. And then there's demand specifically in general industries, but particularly banks due to the MiFID II regulation that's a hard requirement for some parts. So it is something we know we have to do.
Okay, thank you.
Can I have a follow-up question to that?
Sure.
You're talking about third parties. What about first-party voice recording?
So meeting recording is available, but I would describe it as convenience meeting recording. So you and I, we're having three of us are having a meeting, we want to record it. We're different than voice compliance, where I'm selectively saying these 5 people, if they're ever on a call, I have to record. And so there's no immediate plans for us to provide a first-party voice compliance. The first thing would be going through third-party. Whether Microsoft does, we'll see whether we go down that path based on demand. I think logically the first thing we'd probably do would be with third-party though.
Because it would appear that you have all the puzzle pieces already in place. You have cognitive services.
We do. Absolutely, you're correct. It's just there's a lot that has to be done in terms of it's not just the fact that we can record it. You also have to, you want e-discovery on those calls, you want retention on those calls, you need, they have to keep for 7 years, like things like MiFID II, they only care about voice, not necessarily video, to be able to separate that out. There's a huge, so I agree with you, but, and I think we'll see whether we go that route, but to get something quickly to market to meet the needs, I think we'll end up first doing third party, and then we'll see whether we do. I agree. I mean, we do have the puzzle pieces as you call out.
Thanks.
Morning. We are currently test driving direct routing, and what we see is some problems in the signaling of the name. So it looks like that the from field in the PAI is not given to teams. Also, no lookup is taking place in the AD for a user, which is internal here. Are there any plans to work on this? Because currently in this state, it's not really usable, because the only thing the user sees on his Teams client is the phone number and not the name.
Not familiar with that particular problem.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right.
I know we're out of time. I'm not sure if we need to step down. I think we're getting waves from the back. Maybe we could step aside if you have a couple questions after. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.